Hi, I'm Emma Williams. I'm the founder of Matthew's Friends and I'm also Matthew's mum. And what I'm going to show you today is a couple of recipes, family recipes really, and a way that you can incorporate low carb eating into everyday living. And this is a nice idea for people that are maybe looking at starting the diet, maybe your child's on the waiting list and you want to start introducing some low carb recipes into the diet while you're waiting to see your dietitian. So I'm going to give you a couple of ideas and I'm going to start off by making a chicken pie. Now you might be looking at me like I'm daft because you think chicken pie on a ketogenic diet, all will be revealed very soon. Now I'm going to start off by putting some bacon into a pan and that's going to start heating up in a minute. So I'm going to fry that off. I'm going to put that out of the way. And this pie actually started life as a leftover Christmas pie, or as we call it, Alice's Boxing Day pie, because she loves turkey and ham pie. So she wanted it more often than just at Christmas. So we've now started having chicken and bacon pie. So I'm just going to fry this bacon off and I'm going to add some onions to it. Now the onions I've got are the easy fried onions, which you can buy in a tin. They're convenient and they're already sauteed in olive oil. Or you can chop up an onion and add some olive oil to the pan to saute the onions in, or you can buy the frozen pre-chopped onions, whatever's convenient to you, whatever you like to use. If I'm going to fry my own onions, I do tend to use coconut oil. I don't tend to use the coconut oil, which has got a really strong coconut flavour or coconut smell, because onions in coconut oil, personally, I'm not a big fan of. But the KTC coconut oil, which is fairly cheap to buy, and is available in most supermarkets. It hasn't got any smell or any flavour, so it's quite a good one for savoury cooking and everyday cooking. But because I'm using the easy fried onions that came out of a tin that were already sautéed, I'm not going to bother putting any extra coconut oil in today. So I'm just waiting for this bacon to saute off a little bit. So while I'm still waiting for that to cook, because I've got my onions ready to go, they're pre-cooked. I'm going to tell you what else goes into this pie. We've got some leftover chicken. So if you've got a Sunday roast and you've got any chicken left over, this is a good one to use. I'm going to put some mushrooms in here as well. I think I might put those on early just to saute in the pan as well. So you can put any vegetables that you've got left over, but seeing as I'm going to keep this at a fairly low carb pie, then I've added mushrooms because they're really low in carbohydrates. I also like some flavour and some garlic, so I'm going to put a little squirt of garlic in there. I like to use the Gia paste, the garlic puree, that's nice. But if you want to use fresh garlic, that's fine as well. It's not a problem. I've got my stock cube to put in later on, and I'm going to put some herbs in. So that's basically the contents of the pie. So like I say, I'm just sauteing this off with this bacon at the moment. So I'm going to add some onions to it as well. Just going to leave that to saute for a minute. Now, while I'm waiting for that filling to do, you might be wondering about the pastry. Let me show you the pastry while we're cooking there. Now this has been in the fridge relaxing, like most pastries. It looks a bit odd, but that pastry there, believe me, tastes lovely, and it's made with mozzarella cheese. Sounds really, really weird, doesn't it? You can either use grated mozzarella or you can use the block one, or I tend to buy the little packets where you've got a little ball of mozzarella that comes in water and you drain the water out. And you make it by putting it in the microwave and adding some psyllium husk to it, which is a great ingredient. It's like a pure fibre ingredient, so it actually doesn't count in your carbohydrates. So that's quite a good one. And then we make it with eggs, and I put some salt and some mixed herbs in it. I'm not going to show you how to make that today because Mo's going to do that on a different film when she makes sausage rolls. But this is basically exactly the same recipe she uses for sausage rolls, but you can make it into a pie topping. And it's lovely, it's really good. And both my Alice and Matthew are real big pie fiends, so they love this. So I'm going to pop those back over there, and we're going to roll that out and put that on top of the pie in a minute. So I'm just going to put that over there to relax and see how this is getting on. That's fine, that's heating up nicely. It's going to finish off cooking in the oven, so don't worry too much about it all being too soft. We're just taking the worst off now. So the chicken's already cooked, so I'm just going to put some in there. So that goes in now. So there you go, you've got some leftover chicken, some bacon, mushrooms and onions. If you wanted to use spring onions, that would bring the carbohydrate level down a little bit further. You can put some leeks in there if you want, all those kind of things. So let's just see what you've got left over, but we tend to do like a chicken and mushroom pie. So I'm just going to put some stock cube in there. You might prefer using some of the clear stock cubes. I've just got a raw chicken stock cube at the moment. So nice lot of flavour in there as that's all being done. Turned over. Right. Again, I use some dried herbs. Dried herbs are freely allowed on the ketogenic diet. Good pinch in there, give it some flavour. So I'm just giving that a couple of minutes. Now, this pie is a little bit decadent, I have to say. That's really good. And as everybody's saying in the news now, you shouldn't really be that afraid of fat anymore, especially when you're on a low carb diet. So this is a good family pie to use. So that's just finishing off there. Now for the actual sauce, I'm going to use double cream. So if you want to add anything else to it, you can obviously put some salt and pepper in there and things like that, but I tend to use the stock cube, the saltiness from the bacon, that kind of thing. But if you want it, you do it to your taste. So I prefer using mixed herbs, and the bacon I've used is smoked, so it's got a little bit of flavour in there. So here we go. Now I know a lot of you are going to be going, how much double cream is she putting in there? Really, don't worry about it too much. It is a lovely, rich pie. And remember, it's not all for one person. Put all that together. I'm just going to leave that simmer a little bit. And now I'm going to roll out the pastry ready to go in there as well. Right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it between two pieces of baking parchment. It does make it a lot easier to roll out that way. It's all curling up its side, isn't it? So there we go. There's the pastry. Looks very weird, doesn't it? So it's a little bit, you can start by pushing it out because it's a bit springy because of the mozzarella. And I'm going to start rolling it. I've got a bit of a slippy side here. So keep turning it round. It's really odd to work with, but then like a lot of things, sometimes on a ketogenic diet or low carb, it's just getting used to the different textures. So, and Mo can do this far better than I can. So, and she'll be able to show you that. So I'm just rolling that out. I'm going to peel that off there, just to make sure it doesn't stick. This mozzarella is quite sticky. So I'm just having a look at this as well. And that's getting on nicely. It's all coming together. It's thickening up a bit more. I'm going to leave that there for the time being. And on here, I'm just going to grab a board just so I can, it doesn't get too hot on the thing, on the side. I'm going to turn that off because remember it's going to keep cooking once it's in the oven. So, I'm just going to pop that in there. And there's the pie filling. Okay. There you go. That's on there. My oven's already preheated, so I tend to put it on for about on 170 on a fan oven, and then keep an eye on the pastry for about half an hour, something like that. So I'm just going to pop that over in the sink. So, right, pie filling's ready, and here's the pie topping. It doesn't look weird. It looks really weird, doesn't it? But when it's cooked, it looks really nice. And then I'm just going to pop that on top. Now this is where it's all going to go wrong, obviously, because it's on film. But you're getting the idea. So we've got a little bit of a pie filling in there. So it's just going to pop that down there. And then keep it stuck to the sides. Maybe put it in there. Because you don't want to waste it all because it's a nice sort of crust. So sometimes you can trim it up, but I'm just going to leave it there. I've got a little bit of a deep dish, But if you've got a better pie dish than this, it'll come out a lot nicer. So it's rustic. I like rustic. So there you go, just put a little bit of a gap in there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get that out of the way. So there you go. That's a little chicken pie with mozzarella pastry. And in my mozzarella pastry, I've added a few herbs and some salt as well. And Mo will show you how to make that on another film. So now I'm just going to pop this in the oven. So now I'm going to show you a topping for a shepherd's pie. So first off, I've got my shepherd's pie base. Now everybody's got their own individual shepherd's pie, the way they like to do it. Mine is mince, onions, roasted vegetables, that kind of thing. I don't use any flour in my base for the gravy. I normally find if I put sort of a tin tomatoes in, some Worcestershire sauce, that kind of thing, and a stock cube, and you let it reduce down naturally, you don't actually need to add thickener to it. So this is my shepherd's pie base, which is getting ready for the topping. Now, you could use a frozen packet of sort of instant carrot and swede mash that you can buy, and that can be microwaved and you can put that over the top. That's lower carb than potato. But one that I made earlier and is one of my family's favourites is a mix of cauliflower, butternut squash and some celeriac. And what I tend to do with that is I roast it off in the oven with olive oil, some mixed herbs and some salt and pepper, and then when it's cooked I'm going to pop it into the food processor. I love my food processor. It's one of my favourite kitchen gadgets. So, and remember, if you're looking at the diet and you're eventually going towards ketogenic therapy, especially if you're on the waiting list or something like that, we're about getting the fat in. So not only have you roasted these veg in olive oil, but now, piece de la resistance, is that I'm going to put some butter in here. Now, if you're dairy free, obviously you can use a dairy free alternative. Or if you want to put some more oil in, you can. But personally, I don't think you can beat the taste of butter. You can never have too much in your kitchen either. Right, so that's all there is to it. I am now gonna put the lid on and get ready for some noise. It's a lovely flavour actually. My Matthew loves this as a topping for shepherd's pie, and shepherd's pie is definitely one of his favourites. So sometimes if it's a little bit too dry, you can add a little bit more oil to it, but if you want to make it a little more unctuous, as they say, you can put a little bit of cream in there as well. And remember, if you're looking towards ketogenic therapy, you're wanting to look at how you can get a fat in as much as possible. So a little bit of cream in there, and we're going to have another blitz now. So there we go. You won't necessarily get a smooth puree. If you wanted that kind of mash to go on top of your shepherd's pie, then you'd probably be better looking at boiling the veg so it's a lot softer and you haven't got that roasted texture, or just using something plain like cauliflower and making cauliflower puree to go on top. But again, you can add the butter and the cream. So I'm just going to put that in there, and here we go. It's all very yummy, and then you just put it on top, and it just makes a really tasty alternative. Now if you want to, you could put this on top of the chicken pie that we've got in the oven, or you can even put pastry on your shepherd's pie base and make more of a mince and onion pie. So you can mix and match your toppings, and you can use any kind of vegetables really. If you've got a food processor, really cook them up, see what's in the bottom of your fridge. Don't waste anything. We don't want to waste any of the lovely veggies, and these are just lovely alternatives to potato, which can be quite bland. So there's your topping. If you want to add cheese to it, you can, and in traditional shepherd's pie way, we're just going to put the fork along the top. It's got to be done really. I always knew I was having shepherd's pie at home because my mum would always put fork lines across the top. So to me, it's not the same unless it's got that. So there we go. And I'm just going to put that in the oven just to crisp up, and that's your topping.